according to court records, Alec Murdaugh has now agreed to plead guilty to stealing millions of dollars from his clients. Now, apparently, he has until September 21st to change his mind. Do I think he'll change his mind? I mean, I doubt it. He's had plenty of time to consider this decision and talk with his lawyers about it. And it seems, that's what he's preparing to do, and that's what he's going to do. And I mean, again, another thing that's been pointed out, he's already more or less admitted to this stuff in his actual trial when he was, kind of trying to say or make the point, hey, I admit I did this, but I'm no murderer or anything. So not very surprising that he's going to plead guilty. Some people even think and are speculating, oh, he's trying to get out of this dangerous state prison. Because trust me, he is in a very dangerous state prison, although he is in the protective custody unit right now. He's not going to stay there forever. And it is a dangerous place. So a lot of people think, oh, he's trying to go ahead and plead guilty to these so that he can get moved out of there and go to the feds where he may be a lot more safe and where it's generally considered to be a more safer environment. Personally, I don't know. I've only done a decade in state prison, the same South Carolina prison system as Murdaugh, where he's at now. I've never been to feds, so I can't personally say, but a lot of people do claim that it's a much easier ride in the feds, and, that's probably true. Now, I'm no expert on this either, but my response, I suppose, to is he trying to go ahead and get out of state prison and go to the feds? Well, either way, I mean, he's going to have to serve his time that he's been sentenced to for his state charges, regardless. I mean, I just don't really see the point. And also, I mean, I'm no lawyer, but I can tell you this. I've been around a lot of inmates in a lot of different scenarios and situations. I've met plenty of them who have state charges that they were sentenced to prison for and that I'm there with. I'm there with these guys. And they also have federal charges they've been convicted of too. And every single one of them told me once I finish my state time, they'll say, hey, I got to do my state time. Then I got to go do my fed time. The feds are going to pick me up and take me to serve my federal prison time. I even know this one guy, we called him Chunky, and you can guess why, but that's not important. But, I was pretty close with him at one particular prison yard. This was in 2015, and he had did about 3 years. Okay. And it was his release date. He had served his full prison time for his charges in the state prison, and he was set to go home that day. He had his family in the parking lot of that prison, ready to pick him up, ready for him to be released at the certain time of day that they release all these inmates who are going home on that particular release date. Not 20 minutes before they were about to call everyone's name to go ahead and walk out into the parking lot and, hey, you're free, go ahead and ride home with your people, the federal agents showed up and called his name, called him up front, got him, slapped those cuffs on him, and took him to the feds to serve the rest of his time. So they will come get you, but I don't think it's, in my opinion and in my experience, I would not bet on him doing this so that he can hurry up and go to the feds, because I don't think that's how it works. Now, what I am, I guess you could say, an expert on, and what I do have some good experienced information for you about the process and what Murdaugh is going to go through on his court date. What happens and what's the routine? What's the procedures there with someone, and then also someone like Murdaugh, because of course he's not like most inmates, probably get a little more special treatment. Not much, but a little more, just because it's him. What does someone go through? How does that all work when they're in prison and they're going to court? So for normal inmates, I'll spare you that. I'll just go ahead and say what it's probably going to be for Murdaugh. They will wake him up at the same time as everyone else. He's not going to be the only one going to court that day. Now, just because he is kind of higher profile and he's in protective custody, that doesn't mean he's going to be on his own bus and everybody, it's just him and, the big bus of all regular inmates, the ones nobody cares about, they get to go on this bus. And then we got Murdaugh on his special bus over here. When you have a protective custody inmate like Murdaugh, he's going to be on the same bus as those other guys, but there's like a big cage in the very back of the bus. It's a caged off thing. It's got a little door and it's got a padlock on it. Yeah. This is for any unruly inmates or someone who needs to be separated from the more general population group of inmates. And that'll be Murdaugh. He'll probably be there on the back of the bus in the back of that cage. I mean, they only got so many buses and officers to do this, guys. They can't just, So he will be transported with everyone. There's a lot of talk, a lot of nervous energy. There is a lot of nervous and anxious energy from everyone because, everyone's got a little knot in their stomach. Everyone's got a little lump in their throat worrying, what's going to happen at court. What am I going to get? Are they going to give me more than I'm expecting, less than I'm expecting? Is there going to be some type of blessing come my way? Or, man, are they just going to knock me over the fence with, some type of sentence that I wasn't even expecting? So there's a lot of stuff, a lot of comparing of charges and what I'm going up for. Oh, that's what I knew a guy who had this and they did this. Oh yeah. Well, they might give you, what they gave this one guy, because I heard this one time, this one guy went up there and had, a lot of stuff like that going back and forth. But they get you up about 4 a.m. because they have so many inmates to get ready, and then they got to bring you down there. They got to feed you breakfast, and they put everyone in their little wrist shackles, and these have a chain that tie to the wrist shackles all the way down to your feet, where you have feet shackles. So you have wrist, feet, and then a chain tying your wrist shackles to your feet shackles, to kind of minimize any type of shenanigans, escaping, and stuff like that. There's at least 2 or 3 guards on this bus. And so they take you up to this courthouse. Once you get to the courthouse, you're going to go into another holding cell. You're going to be there a few hours, a lot more. I mean, the whole time it's just a bunch of nervous energy. Everyone's just kind of, some might be quiet because they're that nervous, and some, it's all about just different personalities, but that's kind of what's going on in the room at that time. They'll probably feed you lunch, depending on what time this whole court thing's supposed to happen. It might happen before you go in, and you might get your lunch after everyone gets back in from going in front of the judge. But man, it's a pretty nerve-wracking thing. I mean, I've said that several times, but that's just, man, you just don't know what you're gonna get. So that's really the whole vibe around that holding cell from everyone. But yeah, one by one, they're going to take you in there. You'll have guys coming back and they're happy. Yes. Oh man, they cut me a break, and then you'll have guys come back. I don't want to talk about it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there and what he's sentenced to, assuming he still pleads guilty. So after that, everyone's loaded back up on the bus, kind of the same routine in reverse. And then you're back in your cell probably by about 6 p.m. So it's kind of like an all-day event. But that's the gist of what happens when you have to go to court, make a court appearance while you're actually a prison inmate. So just a pretty quick update, nothing special, but just wanted to go ahead and bring you guys this information. You all have a good weekend. See you next time.